Hello everyone and welcome back to the tournament. I hope you enjoyed the last video. Now this is a match between SneakyBritishSpy playing Pontus and Dbeezt playing Rome. I'm going to assume it's Dbeezt, which is quite the name, sir. Now this is a 40 unit battle. There was some confusion as to whether to use 20 units or 40 units. Regardless, I'm going to break down the armies here for you very briefly. As I said, SneakyBritishSpy is playing Pontus, Dbeezt is playing Rome. It appears that the SneakyBritishSpy has more cavalry than Dbeezt. Unfortunately, Dbeezt does have 2 units of elephants, though, which make all the freaking difference in the world. As you saw from my match, my elephants absolutely wrecked it. They carried the day. Now, the Pontics also have more missile units than the Romans. They have some peltasts as well. They have some pike units. And they have around 16 melee units, 4 hillmen, and 6 Pontic swordsmen in that bunch. Dbeezt, as the Romans, however, has 17 melee units, 9 of those being Triarii, and 8 mixed cohorts, Praetorians, Eagle cohorts, and the like. We're going to jump into the battle map now, and as you can see, the Pontics, they are deployed. It's from the viewpoint of the Pontics, I should mention. They are deployed in this horseshoe-shaped pattern, pikes at the front, hoplites on the flanks, missile units in the core, backed by the general. Now, on the right flank, they've got a whole ton of infantry. It's all 6 units of Pontic swordsmen, actually. Followed by some hillmen and a hoplites unit. On his left flank, the SneakyBritishSpy has put his hillmen along with the rest of his cavalry force. And we'll take a look at the Romans here. Basically, it's the same formation here. His Triarii in the front, backed by his missile units. Now, you can't really see the rest of the formation due to them being hidden, but the Triarii wrap all the way around, and he's got 4 Eagle cohorts, Eagle cohorts mixed with legionaries as well. He's got 4 of these cohorts on his left flank, and we can only assume that the remaining 4 are somewhere over here. You may have noticed as well, he has 1 auxiliary elephant unit on his left flank, and yeah, that's basically the deployment now. I'm gonna speed it up a bit. Not much happens in the first little while. Basically, we're just moving these formations forward. The Sneaky Brit moves his infantry body up through the middle of the map, supported by his cavalry on the left flank, and these hillmen somewhere, here they are. They are lagging behind, holy moly. These fellows need to pick it up, shit, if they plan to keep up with that fucking cavalry. On the right flank, not much is happening, they're just moving their cavalry forward. Dbeezt has moved 4 of his cohorts into these bushes, and also his African elephants. They are somewhere in here, and it's up to the Sneaky Brit to determine where that is. Now, at this point, we get a nice view of the secondary elephant unit all the frickin' way over here. Here's the main fucking body. Here's the elephants, quite a ways away. Now, Dbeezt promptly pulls his cohorts out of the bushes. Basically, I'm not sure what that was about. He just moved them in, decided against it, and has brought them back. The Sneaky Brit, however, is sending a unit of citizen cavalry forward to scout, and it is a good idea considering the African elephants are right up here. We can see them coming into view, morphing. Oh gee. I don't know if you can tell, but these elephants are slightly clipping into the ground. This is a bug with this current version, I think. At any moment they're going to disappear. There they go. They are charging at the citizen cavalry in a rare tactic. Basically, they burrow into the ground and they hop right up at the citizen cavalry, and it's quite the sight to behold. Basically, it's the worms from Dune, but with trunks and angry Africans on the back. But anyway, they are charging towards the citizen cavalry, and luckily, the Sneaky Brit has caught it in time and withdrawn his forces. To counter these elephants, however, he is moving forward his swordsmen as well as some hillmen. He's trying to avoid being attacked by these already bloodied elephants. but he has now committed a large amount of his force to these elephants. He wants to take them out right away. I mean, you have to. Unfortunately, this cavalry charge goes rather sideways, as most of these horses just kind of bounced harmlessly off these elephants. He does have some swordsmen coming in to support, but first he charges with another unit of citizen cavalry, which, as expected, is about to go as well as the last one. At this point, I'd just like to point out that we get a first sighting of Dbeezt Praetorian cavalry all the way over here as well. They're moving to join with these African elephants, the second unit of African elephants here. The first unit, however, is now being charged by the SneakyBrit citizen cavalry, who just kind of melt away, but these swordsmen move to support, and unfortunately it does not go as well for them either. They get kind of bowled over. We've got some hillmen moving to support as well. They throw some spears, but it's mostly ineffective. These elephants are just tearing their way through most of these units. These swordsmen have already lost 11 men, but at this point Dbeezt realizes that it's probably best for him to pull back his elephants. They are outnumbered, and they're probably going to get torn down. So the pursuit begins. All of these infantrymen just follow these African elephants, but they are too tired, and they just get swarmed and pulled down one by one. There goes another. Oh, it's not a pretty sight. These hillmen are going to be eating well tonight, let me tell you. They're going to be eating these elephants and probably the riders as well. I don't want to say that they're cannibals, but they're no stranger to human meat. These elephants are desperately trying to flee from these infantry, but like ants swarming over, I don't know, mice carcasses. They're just numerous. Meanwhile, on the left flank, however, the SneakyBrit has moved his citizen cavalry, forward. He has seen those Praetorian cavalry in the hills, and he has promptly turned around, basically said, "Fuck it, I am not doing that," and he has turned around, but these Praetorians are hot in pursuit. His Pontic cavalry, his Pontic royal cavalry, are about to charge these elephants, and basically the same thing happens. He says, "Fuck it," and instead chooses to use his hillmen to attack these elephants with expected results. They charge forward, they throw some spears, but they basically get annihilated. Look at that. I think about half his men from that unit have just been wiped off the face of the earth, and a second unit comes to support, but basically they are tied into a unwinnable combat. The first unit of African elephants, however, are making away with 4 elephants left to retreat behind the Roman lines. His Syrian archers are loosing a few arrows, and they have done quite a bit of damage to these hillmen. As you can see, there's quite a few corpses over here. Now, Dbeezt has charged his Praetorian cavalry into the rears of these hillmen, and that's basically sealed the deal. The SneakyBrit, however, is moving 1 unit of citizen cavalry to, I'm not sure, annoy these elephants. You should know by now that the past 2 charges with citizen cavalry against elephants, it did not go well. But in this situation, he's got Praetorian cavalry to support. So, I don't know if those cavalry are supposed to distract the elephants, slow them down. I'm not sure. But regardless, the SneakyBrit has moved his infantry force, to line up with Dbeezt's Roman force. He has reformed his infantry on the right flank as well, bringing up the remainder of his infantry. And now he is lining up his Pontic royal cavalry to fend off these incursions from the Roman cavalry wing. He's got a unit of Eastern archers to loose some arrows here. It's going to take down a few of these Praetorians, I believe. There they go. And it's just basically pissing these elephants off. They are more angry now. The only thing, the SneakyBrit, I don't know, he's sending his cavalry force piecemeal after these Praetorians and African elephants, and it's not going well for him. They're basically melting, and now he's going to move yet another cavalry unit against these units, but he decides against it because, as we have witnessed this entire battle, it's not effective. At this point, his Eastern archers let loose on these elephants, and they just start falling. Many arrows landing. Here we go. Plow! There goes a few elephants. There go some more potentially. No, these Praetorians are charging towards the rears of these Pontic cavalry, and his Eastern archers are just absolutely devastating these elephants, and these trees have ceased to be connected to the ground. This is quite an ugly bug, I gotta say, but we'll have to persevere. Now, his Pontic Royal Cavalry have turned around and they have charged those Praetorians, and at this point, his Eastern Archers are still firing on that conflict, causing a few friendly fire incidents, I'm gonna say. If I were those Royal Cav, I'd be writing a sternly worded letter to someone, perhaps the Sneaky British Spy. I would be saying, you know, we can't have our archers firing at our men. Regardless, though, Dbeezt has seen that this is a useless fight for his Praetorian cavalry and has decided to pull out. Up here, however, he is moving 2 units of Syrian archers forward to goad these infantrymen into action, these 5 or 6 units of Pontic swordsmen. We're going to see how that goes very soon, but for the time being, we are going to focus on these Praetorian cavalry. 1 unit has just been wiped away, and this other unit, however, is going to try to flank this infantry force. Unfortunately, I don't think Dbeezt can see this citizen cavalry. No, he cannot. It is hidden, and the sneaky Brit is moving that unit to intercept those Praetorians. Meanwhile, he has pulled his peltasts forward to do some skirmishing, and we get a glimpse of those 4 units that were hidden beforehand. It's 2 units of Praetorians and 2 Eagle cohorts, and they are charging forward these hoplites, and his triarii have moved forward to basically pen these peltasts back in their fucking pasture behind these pikemen. These Praetorians are neck deep in conflict over here. Holy moly. That, it's so fucking ugly. But anyway, the sneaky British spy has moved his Pontic swordsman forward to either take out these archers or attempt to fight these cohorts. We're going to find out any second now. They are under heavy archer fire, I gotta say. At the same time, Dbeezt has maneuvered his triarii directly into the front of these pikemen, which I gotta say is a bit of a mistake. I don't know if he's trying to hold them in place whilst his 4 cohorts pierce their way through the left flank. But at the same time, we are getting the remainder... Oh my fuck. We're getting the remainder of his African elephants flanking these Pontic swordsmen, and they're about to charge into the rear of these men, and it does not go well for anyone. He also moves Eagle cohorts to flank even further, but at this point, he has removed these swordsmen from the conflict, and that's basically caused them to break en route. And then, at this point forward, they are just being dogged by these elephants. Basically, creatures of their nightmares. Now, I was going to say, if I was Dbeezt, I would have spread these cohorts out, because now what's happening is we've got Pontic Royal Cavalry coming to smash near the backs of these units. He could have flanked, potentially. He's only got 1 unit of hoplites to intercept, and he's got 3 or 4 units here. I think it's 3 units, so he could attack this unit of hoplites, this unit, and potentially this unit as well. But he has chosen to focus on 1 unit and attempt to pierce through, whilst his triarii just gets slaughtered on the pikes of these bronze shield pikemen. On the right flank as well, we've got some worm men attempting to fight even yet more worm men. It's quite disturbing, I gotta say. Look at this. Jeez, it's ugly. It's ugly. But I'm going to unpause because we see Dbeezt moving 1 unit of Eagle cohort to intercept that charge from Pontic Royal Cav, and the other Eagle cohort doing exactly the same. So at this point, the sneaky Brit only has 4 units of cavalry. He's got his general, 2 Royal Cav, and then this weakened citizen cavalry over here. It's only got 17 men in it. So his cavalry forces are severely depleted, and his infantry force has just been cut down to size because all of his units have mass routed, and basically they get chased off the map. He had 1 Pontic swordsman come, and they tried to intercept these archers, but they just got caught up in a conflict with triarii and the general of the Romans. Meanwhile, these Pontic Royal Cav are disengaging from those conflicts with the Eagle cohorts, and now the sneaky Brit is attempting to outmaneuver the Romans and take out their Syrian archers with his shock cavalry. Indeed, very sneaky, sir. So, the right flank of the sneaky Brit is basically annihilated. He's got 1 unit of hoplites, 2 units of hillmen, and 1 weakened citizen cav. So basically it's his main infantry body and whatever cavalry forces he has. The Romans, however, they have 2 legionary cohorts back here and 2 eagle cohorts moving to reform with them, plus the units he has currently embroiled on that conflict. Now, the sneaky Brit had 1 unit of Pontic Royal Cav charge these Praetorians, and they have just been sandwiched between the Praetorians and this eagle cohort, so they are basically out of the game right now. This other unit of Pontic Royal Cav, however, have obviously chased down quite a few archers, as you can see, but they are now entangled in the general of the Romans, the general and bodyguard, but they continue to pursue these archers just to get off a few more casualties, I suppose. There we go. There's a few men bowled over, quite immediately there. But unfortunately, well, rather fortunately for Dbeezt, he has Triarii moving to intercept them, and they basically get annihilated here as well. They get taken out by these Triarii and general bodyguard. Meanwhile, this conflict here has changed slightly. He is moving, Dbeezt that is, he is removing 1 Praetorian from this central fight here, and he is going to try to flank, I believe. And the sneaky Brit is now moving his bronze shield pikemen around to get a few more casualties on these Triarii and cohorts. Well, nothing's happening over there. The Pontic Royal Cavalry are now about to break, I believe. There they go. Now, that leaves basically 1 unit for the sneaky Brit. It is his general, this Pontic Royal Cavalry, which he is using to take out these Praetorians, who are now in a battle with this hoplites unit. I'm not sure what happened to... Oh, here we go. The sneaky Brit has used his units that were over here, and they are now sandwiched that unit of Triarii and broken them. So basically the only conflict at this moment, the only battle happening right now, is these units. And Dbeezt is starting to remove his units from this battle. He knows that he can reform his line. The sneaky Brit is weakened, and basically they reform their lines for a second bout. But in the meantime, the sneaky Brit's general takes out 1 unit of Praetorians, and that leaves 1 unit fighting these hoplites, and Peltas as well. Now, I'm not sure what the point of this was. We know that the sneaky Brits Peltas still have missiles. I mean, they did not do much skirmishing beside what they fired up here before retreating, and I suppose this entire time they have been firing at these Praetorians, who are now getting charged by these Royal Cavalry, causing quite a few casualties. So I'm not sure why they're in melee, those Peltas. They could have flanked around and thrown javelins into the rear of these Praetorians, but I digress. What's really happening now is Dbeezt is removing these 2 units, and he is going to reform with the remainder of his army. We've got a bit of guerrilla action going on here. We've got this unit of Pontic Cav. It has reformed, but now the general of the Romans is charging, and they're probably going to break any minute now. I apologize, we missed the final charge on those Praetorians there that broke them from the Pontic Royal Cav, the general of the Pontics. And there we are. That is the first major conflict resorted. Now it is time for both players to resort their lines. At this point, I believe Dbeezt has the majority of his units. He lost 2 Praetorian units, but he has the majority of his cohorts and a lot of Triarii units, actually. 2 or 3. And a few undermanned archer units, but for the most part, 4 archer units, as well as his African elephants, which are always a boon. The sneaky Brit, however, he has 3-4 units of pikemen, supported by hoplites, 2 archer units, 3 Peltast units and 2 Hillmen, so it's not looking great for the Sneaky Brit at this point. He lost a serious part of his army when those swordsmen just turned tail and ran. Now we're just basically waiting for the lines to meet again. This is quite the lull in battle. But now the Sneaky Brit has issued a move order for his entire army. He is moving towards Dbeezt, who has the slight advantage in the hill. As you can see, he has also placed his elephants in the woods, but they are not hidden. They are not hidden at this very moment. The only hope that the Sneaky Brit really has at this point is he needs to maintain his Pontic Royal Cavalry unit. He has the cavalry advantage, and for a long time he had the cavalry advantage, but when he lost those 2 units of Pontic Cavalry, Pontic Royal Cavalry, oh my god, they have become one with the ground. They're fucking ghosts. But anyway, when he lost those 2 units of Pontic Cavalry, he gave up a large advantage he had. His infantry force is not quite a match for these Romans, these heavily armored Romans. But regardless, Dbeezt has moved his archers forward to loose some arrows, but all that happens is these eastern archers get a few volleys off, and there are no arrows fired back. There we go. Plunk. And a few men have died there, but yeah, they quickly retreat. They may be out of arrows. I couldn't tell you. All I know is that they did not let loose a single volley. But the Sneaky Brit is maneuvering his Pontic Cavalry around, perhaps to flank these Romans. But for now, he issues another move order to his infantry. Dbeezt Roman soldiers are cheering relentlessly. They know that they're the cream of the crop, and they're being pretty assholish about it. But now we get some volleys from those Syrian archers as the remainder of Dbeezt's African elephants move against the left flank of the Sneaky Brit. He's got Pontic Peltasts and Hillmen on the left flank. If they had missiles, they should have loosed. Peltasts are absolutely deadly against elephants, but like I said earlier, they may have been out of missiles, but those archers are not out of missiles, as they just completely annihilated the remainder of the elephants. Dbeezt's right flank moves to strengthen the center as the Sneaky Brit boxes in the Romans with his pikemen and maneuvers his Royal Cavalry around to get some rear charges off. Dbeezt, however, is actually moving those Triarii to counter those Royal Cav. I was mistaken. But now, Dbeezt is charging forward to engage the Sneaky Brit's pikes, who did not actually have their pikes down. They were not in pike phalanx, but now they are, and they are cruising forward the Romans. We've got one of the Sneaky Brits' units of hoplites going to charge this Eagle cohort, whilst the Pontic Royal Cavalry get one last charge off on these Syrian archers, causing quite a few casualties, but these Triarii are quickly in tow, and thus his Royal Cav have to get the fuck on out there. They have to GTFO, they gotta cruise and gallop away from these Triarii. Now, we've got a unit of Eagle cohort coming around the flank now. He's strengthening his right flank. The Eastern archers, rather, are letting loose on the remaining Syrian archers, but it's kind of redundant. This unit is already broken. The Sneaky Brit's unit of Pontic Cavalry here has just been charged by Dbeezt Triarii, kind of tying down a few men there, but nevertheless, they scamper away scot-free like big assholes, and they come around and deftly outmaneuver these infantry to get yet another charge off on these archers, basically wiping them off the map. However, Dbeezt's heavy infantry, these Triarii, come to roll up the line. They are now behind the hoplites and the pike line, which is a big problem, and the Sneaky Brit, in order to counter this, he uses his Pontic Cavalry to get a half-hearted charge off on these cohorts. He's trying to get as many rear charges off as he can before he gets bogged down by Triarii. we've got a very weak Eagle cohort surrounded by hillmen and peltas who are now fleeing, and as a result, it's a very one-sided combat now, and the Sneaky Brit realizes this, and he tries to get off a rear charge to break these cohort, but it's not meant to be. He knocks down a lot of them, but I don't think they break at this very moment. Meanwhile, his left flank, the Sneaky Brits that is, his left flank has just crumbled, and now Dbeezt legionary cohorts have actually surrounded his hoplites and pikemen. It's not looking great for the Sneaky Brit at this moment. He is actually being surrounded on all sides by heavy Roman infantry, and the only savior he has is his Pontic Royal Cavalry, who are getting rear charge after rear charge off on this legionaries, but it's no use. These guys are too well drilled, they are too badass to break, whereas his Pontic units are wavering all along the line. And yeah, it's basically this. He just has rear charge after rear charge, desperately trying to break whatever unit he can. This was a good charge here, right into the flanks of these Romans. And this Eagle cohort is actually wavering. This one is wavering as well. Basically, he just needs to come around, get one more charge off. Actually, that unit has broken. He needs to get one more charge off on... Oh, both units have broken. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, apparently. But anyway, his general is coming around the rear to charge these pikemen, and his left flank, what's remaining of his left flank, is completely encircled, and it is now crumbling. He's trying to salvage what he can on the right flank, but this is basically the end for the Sneaky Brit. There's no way he can defeat all of these legionaries with what little units he has. But he will persevere, and he will get rear charge after rear charge off on these infantry. That was a little half-hearted, but you get the idea. Now, Dbeezt has taken his Triarii to these Pontic Royal Cavs, supported by hillmen and the like, and it's probably not going to go well for these Pontic Cav. They are taking a few losses and should probably have withdrawn earlier, but he has noticed that the remainder of Dbeezd's infantry has attempted to reform, so he tries to get off some charges whilst they are out of formation, and it goes quite well. He knocks quite a few Romans around, and I'm not sure how many have actually died, but nevertheless, he has slowed their reformation time, but that has cost him dearly. A lot of his Pontic cavalry have died there, and now this is all that remains of his army. It is basically what small reformed units he has in the rear. But it's just two Bronze Shield pikemen supported by a Hoplites unit, and he's got to take down all these Romans. It's over. Nevertheless, he tries to get a few more charges off with these Pontic Royal Cav, but Dbeezt is just encircling his pikemen yet again, and there's not much he can do to stop it. This pike unit breaks very easily. There they go. He's trying to take out these archers with his Royal Cav. He's trying to do as much damage as he can. He knows the battle is over, but you might as well take a few Romans with you when you have the opportunity. Blammo! That was quite the fucking charge there. Knocked out the majority of those Triarii there. But there you go. His army has broken. The Romans have prevailed today. Well done, Dbeezt. You played well, sir. Well done, the Sneaky British Spy. You have played well as well. But we're going to take a look at the casualties here. There we are. You can see that the Sneaky Brits general unit and also this other Pontic Royal Cav unit, they have done the vast majority of his killing for him. His pikes did quite well against those Triarii, but they did not carry the battle nearly as much as his Pontic Royal Cavalry did. You can see that his Pontic swordsmen broke quite easily, killing only 7 for roughly 30 men, 20 men before breaking. Oh, this one unit did kill 170 men. My mistake. But these 5 units here, they lost very few men before breaking. It's very unfortunate for the Sneaky Brit, that mass rout. That was probably the turning point of the battle when he truly lost the battle there. Now when we turn to Dbeezt, we can see that his African elephants did quite well indeed. His archers, however, performed quite poorly. The vast majority of the killing was done, however, by his Praetorians, his legionary cohorts in general. And they probably carried the battle for Dbeezt. I mean, his African elephants did cause quite a few routes. That one lucky mass rout against those Pontic swordsmen was really nice. However, the first unit he sicked against the Pontics died very easily. It did very few casualties. And the second unit managed to take out those hillmen, which were probably not too crucial to the Sneaky Brits, so and they were felled by arrows. But anyway, well done, both you players. I will see you, Dbeezt, in our next match. And thank you for watching, everyone. It's been a blast. I'll see you next video.